The inspiration for this piece was mainly from my mom. She lived in this small town. She was born and raised there. We would go visit my grandparents during Christmas time, and that place, to me and my brothers, it was like a Disney World for us. You know, it was a totally different world, you know, plus it would snow there. You know, you're in Illinois, and then you'd have a white Christmas, and that was really special for me and my family. My mom, on her side of the family, they were Myers. This is on her mom's side, and they had a milk farm. I remember her, actually my grandmother, telling me about how she'd have to get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to milk the cows. And my grandfather, which is my mom's dad, worked in the quarry there. And he worked basically in the mines, and it was a giant shovel is what they called, that would dig into the rock. And then these big trucks would come in and they would haul the lime out. And eventually, as he got older, he was able to work what they call the dinky, and that's basically a little train that would pull the cars in that would haul the rock in, and he would drive this thing back and forth. Well, we would come up there as young kids. Hey, we get to go see Grandpa and see him drive, and then we actually got to ride in the dinky and ride it back and forth. And that gave us a fascination of trains. And I loved shooting video of trains, shooting still photographs of trains, and that's what really got me started.
I've worked with Danny for a number of years, and I'd say over the last year and a half, he started talking more and more about wanting to do a piece on Valmeyer. It was a town that he had gone to as a kid and had fond memories of it. And I think it was the passing of his mom that sort of spurred it to a point where he decided it was time to make this happen. And the more he talked to me about it, the more I got energized about the idea. It just sounded like a really compelling story, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So I certainly jumped at the chance to get on board when we had a chance to go up and do the initial interviews for the project. I know that it makes an impact when, after I do an interview, after I talk to somebody and I hear a story, and then it rolls around in my head for days after. In one case, one of the interviews that we did for this project, I actually had a dream a couple of days later where I was hearing that story again. And that's a powerful thing. It makes me know that we're telling a story that needs to be told, and I think people are going to be moved by it. As far as the production goes, this was a shoot really unlike any I've ever been on. There was an energy to it that I hadn't experienced before. We were taking advantage of the times of day. We always call it the magic hours, you know, when the light is really at its best. We had multiple cameras. We were putting cameras everywhere we could think to put cameras. We had a drone up in the air, and we had just had a lot of things going to really bring the story to life, to really illustrate it in a way that I think is going to be really something special.
We're using drones. Robert Davis is a fantastic videographer. You know, it's amazing how high he can get that thing and just the angles that he can get. John helped out with the directing of it and just interviewing the folks, asking the right questions, you know, going a little bit more in depth than what a regular news story would do.
Some of the stuff that stuck out to me, I tell you, I've known Mr. Moore a long time, and I've never seen him get angry before, and I felt a little bad because it was almost comical to me, because we're set up and we're trying to get this great scene of his brothers bringing this awesome truck down, you know, this old-time truck. So we've got this scene set up where we're gonna shoot the truck coming down from the mountain, and then the helicopter's gonna fly right over them, and it's gonna go out and reveal the cornfields and just this great scenery. And we got everything set up, walkie-talkies, helicopters energized, ready to go. We got a limited number of time, the sun's setting. It's time to cue him on the radio, and nothing. And I hear Danny back there. He's like, it's like, you know, this walkie-talkie's like making all these beeps.
I have no idea what Robert's talking about. Just doggone.
we were interviewing quite a few people from the town, including a former mayor and the current mayor. And one of the people was the police chief there, Tom Andrus. We were going to interview him in the old town. We were finishing up an interview in the new town. So he'd gone on ahead of us, and we were going to follow behind as soon as we could get the gear loaded back up. And so we're coming down the hill there off the bluff. And I just happened to look down, and Danny's going around 50, 55 miles an hour, and it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. And I was just about to say something, and I glanced over and I saw Tom's car parked in the position that he would be parked if he were trying to nail speeders coming down that hill. And with every fiber of my being, I wanted those lights to come on, because I just wanted to see Danny's expression, because it would have just been priceless. But and have him follow us on to the point where we're going to do the interview, and him come out and with his ticket book, and but that's great, Danny. Before we get started, I need you to sign this. We did wrap up his interview, and I was taking the microphone off of him, and I said, Tom, what'd you pop Danny coming down that hill? And he said, well, I'll tell you, it was more than 30 miles an hour.
I was trying to find history on the town and went on YouTube, and there was just limited resources. A lot of stuff about the flood, but nothing really about the history on the town. And I found Dennis, who is actually he's married into Allgaier's side of the family, which was my mom's dad's side and everything. And he wrote books on the history. And reading his books got me like, oh man, this would be great to make into a documentary. So I went to Dennis and talked to him about it, and he was very, very happy to work on something like this. A lot of it came from him, and then my passion about the town, and then also my brothers are very supportive, and they just love even just going on the shoots with us. They want to go and have a good time and relive some of the history. With all the interviews that we got, I think the main thing, if you took them all and you boiled them all down, it's about family, not giving up, just keeping on, and not let major things overcome you. And I think this town did that.